By the end of today's video, you'll be able to understand how to crimp your own Anderson Powerpole connectors for 15, 30, and 45 amp connections. And that is a really nice looking crimp. I'm Brogan and I've been teaching robotics and design for over a decade now. And I really like Anderson Powerpoles for powering my robotics projects because they're just a really reliable, solid connection. The reason that they are so solid is that they have a little clip or a spring latch clip in here that's rated for, I think, several 100,000 opens and closes, and you can allow them to grab in and desnap. You can have these things meshed together. You can see the side here. There's the little dovetails on the side here so that you can slide these together. You can also buy them already factory sealed, but they're a real snug fit. I haven't had any of them manage to come apart on me yet. So how do we actually crimp one of these up? I've already got about a centimeter crimped on some aluminum wire here. What I like to do is I like to grab the end of this wire. I'll grab my fingers. I give it a little twist here. That just makes it a lot easier for us to get into our crimp later. And if I grab this little twist, that makes our crimping a lot simpler. And the actual crimps themselves have this little downturned hook on them, as you can see. And this downturned hook goes in on the inside of these connectors here. We can see there's a little latch on the inside right in here. Let's get focused in. You see there's a little hook latch on the inside of these connectors. And what this does, when you insert this into the bottom of the connector, it slides on top and it kind of hooks down onto that latch. And then these two connectors spring up against each other like so for a rather reliable leaf spring style connection. So when it comes to actually crimping, I recommend you get yourself a good ratcheting mechanism. By a ratcheting mechanism, effectively allows you to clamp the whole thing down. And until we actually hear a good click, now I can go ahead and release that ratchet. And this makes your life so much easier than trying to do these manually because you're always going to get the proper crimp height. You can see on some of them that most of these are able to do 15, 30, and 45 different amps so that I can slide in my connector here. Today, the connector I'm using is a 30 amp connector. And I'm going to go ahead and slide this into the 30 amp side. And I'm going to put a little bit of tension on here just so that I can hold this down. So I like to grab mine just a little bit. Otherwise, this likes to fall out. And I like to always make sure that I'm keeping my little clamp down just so I can have a consistent polarity for this. I'll go ahead and grab one of my wires here. And what we can do is we can grab it on the edge of our clamp there. Give it a little twist as we're going inside, and that ensures that all of our wires are actually going inside our connector. Now I'm going to hold this as I start to clamp down, and then you're going to hear that click. Should be able to pop it down. And that is a really nice looking crimp. You can see there's a crimp up at the top, and down below there's another little divot that gives a crimp. I always like to give my connectors a good little pull, a good little snug to ensure they're actually in. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing here on our positive lead. Grab a little hold. And again, I like to grab these, give them a little twist as I'm going in the same direction that I spun them. Start to clamp it down, get two hands in there, give it a good click. We heard that, and we have another nice little crimp there. Give it a pull, and we're good to go. Now, when it comes time to actually put them inside the Powerpole connectors themselves, you want to have that hook facing down, and there's a little side here that has a little A section on it that we can see. And we want to have that little letter A showing up and this clamp going down to go inside. So you can slide in the back of the housing, and this is where you're going to have a good amount of force or honestly a cable. Now I find these things are an absolute pain to slide into here. So what I do is I will slide it in and I'll line it up like so. Then I'll grab a rather small slot screwdriver. I find that a 1 works quite well. And on this small slot screwdriver, I'll grab the tip of that Powerpole connector and I will push in onto that crimp just with a little bit of force. And now I can take the rest of my hand, slide this in, and we're going to hear a little click. Oh, I might need to keep pushing down with this one. There we go. Heard that little click. So now we can see on our connector here that that little latch has pressed down on top, but on this side, we don't have that little latch. So let's go ahead and do the same thing again. I'm going to make sure I have that A side facing down with that hook so that I can clamp inside. I'm going to slide it on like so. And then I'll grab my other tool, push down on the back of that connector till I hear a good little click, good little snap. And these are some really solid connections. One last thing, distributing power. I like using a power block here. So that allows me to get things from my battery out to be able to get to multiple different connections. And it ends up being a nice, stable, safe way of powering your projects. Hope you found that quick little tutorial helpful. And as always, best of luck out there on your next robotics project.